Okay, I think we're recording now.
Mhm.
Okay, welcome everybody to the FitLife Podcast. My name is Jackie Labadia and I'm your host. And today I have special guest, Christy Ewing, who is a fellow online fitness coach that we have met through our business mentorship we've met through. Christy and I have never met face to face. This is our first time talking, which is a pleasure. We follow each other on social media and things like that, but we, essentially have met through our business mentorship with Jordan Syatt and Mike Viconti. So welcome, Christy. If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you do, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jackie. I'm super excited to come on your podcast today. And yeah, it's great to meet like other fellow online coaches because it's a crazy world out there, and it's nice
Yes.
to have coaches who, align with like the same mission and perspectives and stuff. It's good to learn from each other. So like you said, my name is Christy. I am an online fitness and nutrition coach. I started so I was originally a personal trainer like 10, 15 years ago at a gym while I was going through fashion school. And once I graduated, I jumped into my career in fashion, apparel design, and I had been doing that for 10 plus years. And there was always just like a tug back. Like I was still like involved in the fitness industry. I love to work out. Like that's where my people were, like, all my friends were people I met at the gym. And I'm huge into running and endurance sports as well. But after I had my first baby and going through like the whole experience, like being pregnant and not really knowing what exercises I should or shouldn't be doing. And then the postpartum experience, which is wild. We could talk about that a lot, but not really feeling lost and like in my body and not sure what to do. And then having to like go back to work full time and, putting kids in childcare and stuff. It was just really hard. And so I had always just like in the back of my mind, like, I want to go back to personal training. Like I really miss it. I feel like I can make a difference there. Everybody needs clothes. Yes. But I was like, I don't know. It just wasn't like as fulfilling as it was working with people and training. So anyways, long story short, so it was in 2021, I started really thinking seriously about doing online personal training. And that's where I found our business mentorship with Jordan Syatt and Mike Viconti. And it took me a year to like finally commit and join the mentorship.
Wow.
And I'm so glad I did. And it's really helped me to build my business. So I've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years, fully online, and it's been awesome. I love it. I work with mainly women, a lot of like postpartum women as well, and it's just super fun. I love helping people. Like I love making fitness and nutrition more simplified because even as a coach, I get like super overwhelmed sometimes and confused at like all the conflicting information that's out there. And I'm like, I'm like constantly like reading and listening to podcasts and like trying to learn things. If I'm getting confused and like questioning things, like the normal average person like has got to be so confused about like what they should be doing. Anyway, so that's kind of what is like where my passion lies, is just to help make things more simple, because it doesn't have to be so complicated.
No, yeah, it's so crazy. I think it sounds like we've been on like kind of similar journeys. Like we both started around the same time with our online businesses, and like same with joining the mentorship and stuff like that. And even with like business mentorships too. And Mike and Jordan talk about this all the time. Like the amount of information that's thrown at you as a fitness coach in terms of what you should and shouldn't be doing when you follow other like influencers who now are going into business mentorships. And Jordan and Mike call them the mentorship gurus and stuff. And even like trying to navigate that aspect of not just fitness, but building a business and really getting on board with like, okay, well, what kind of coach do I want to be, and how am I going to serve my clients in the best way possible while feeling good about what I do and aligning with my values and my morals and all of those things. And I think that's the really cool thing about the mentorship that we're in, is that they're the only mentorship that I have seen that truly serve coaches in a way that is like not that is aligned with their values, and building on finding coaches that want to feel that and want to serve people in the same way. And that's why I love that mentorship. And like, I don't know about you, but I'm such a fly on the wall in that group, but just knowing that it's there and that I have the connection to and the ability to connect with other coaches who are similarly aligned with me in my values as a coach is just like, it's so nice to have that support and know that the community is there. And I learned so much from Mike and Jordan too, even just listening to their podcasts. And they've taught me a lot about critical thinking and the nuance in things too. And it's like, it just the way that they think and the way that they talk through in their podcasts, it's been so helpful in helping me to decipher information that I see online so that I can put the nuance together and explain things better to my clients as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that part of the mentorship, that it's so like educational, and I feel like the biggest focus isn't how to like make a ton of money doing this. It's how to be the best coach ever for your clients. And so I love that. I've learned so much. I've changed so many like perspectives from when I first started training like 15 years ago. And so I love it a ton. It's great. And I love like we do weekly Q&As, and a lot of the questions are about hey, I have this client who's struggling with this, like, what do you think I could do? And so it's just cool to see that, and so many coaches who are client focused.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like they're right. Like, the best way that you're going to build your business is to be the best coach, because clients are going to talk about you, and that aspect of it. How did you end up finding that group? Like, did you come across Jordan? Because I know that's how I ended up finding them, was I stumbled across Jordan, I think, on YouTube, and it was his video about proposing to his wife. And then it was super cute. And then I think because I had watched that video, I started to see more of his other things, and I realized, I'm like, oh, he's a fitness coach. So, and I like what he's saying. So I ended up following him. And then I think I ended up listening to his podcast, and again, through that, ended up seeing that he was also had some kind of business mentorship, and then finding that podcast first, and then eventually signed on as a client, or as a into the mentorship from there.
So after I had my third baby, so I have 4 boys, 9, 6, 4, and 1.5. They all just had birthdays, so I'm like having to
oh my gosh
remember their birthdays. Anyway, so 4 boys. So after I had my third, I was on maternity leave, and I frankly, I was just like very unhappy at work like at the office, working full time. COVID had just happened. I really enjoyed working from home, and they were like wanting everybody to be back in the office full time. And I was just like, I don't want to. I really enjoy working from home. And so I was just like, I'm just going to do this. I've been thinking about it for, 4 or 5 years now. So I just started like Googling like how to become an online trainer. Cause I was just like, I don't know, like what I already had recertified my personal trainer certification. So I did that. And then I was just like, okay, now what, like, what's the best, like, should I do group coaching, like one-on-one? And anyway, so I was just like Googling everything. I just started looking at podcasts, and I found Mike and Jordan's podcast, and I just started listening to their episodes. I'm like, these guys are really cool. And because I had found a few podcasts, and some of them I just like some of them just weren't very good. I'll be honest.
Okay.
And then
That's fair.
yeah, and so Jordan and Mike's really stood out. And so then that's when I like followed Jordan on Instagram and Mike as well. And just started learning more. And then I saw that they had a mentorship, looked at their website and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, it took me a year to like commit to the mentorship.
Yeah.
So it was like, 2022 I joined. And then 3 months later, I actually left my full-time job and moved into like a contract role, more of like part-time. And so I was able to like really get more serious about the online coaching. So
That's awesome. And that's a kick in the butt too, to like get to like go all in and then go from there and see how, put all your energy into that too.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned having 4 boys, and that was definitely something I wanted to talk about today, because I think that on top of being coaches online, that's something I don't have 4 boys, but we're both moms. And I can imagine, I know for me, being a mom, I also work another part-time job, but and then do this. And then I homeschool my kids too. So you get a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, how do you do it all? And, fit in your workouts and your nutrition and all of those things. And I have had clients who have 4 kids and find it extremely difficult to get into a lifestyle that is more aligned with what they want. And although I feel like, as people who have been in the fitness industry for a long time, even prior to having kids, I feel like we have our challenges, but because we've been in it for so long, when we have become mothers, it's easier to transition to continue to incorporate those lifestyle aspects because we've been doing it for so long. But what do you tell women who have babies, have multiple children, are juggling all the hats of the house, but also want to get healthy? What kind of things do you tell them when you first start coaching with them, or like when they come to you for help?
Yeah, that is a big question. So it really depends like what kind of phase you're in. So like when I had my 4th baby, for example, and he wasn't sleeping through the night, getting up early to work out was like not not a possibility, because I'm not going to sacrifice any sleep when he's sleeping. So so what I did then was I would like break up my workouts throughout the day. So when there was like little windows of time, I would do like one set here and there. I had my weights upstairs, like just like in the corner of the living room. And so I did what I can. And I know that's not always possible for everyone. Like people who are working full time, they're not at home, they're not living in their workout clothes. But so the main thing is just to be flexible and know that it's okay if it doesn't look like how it used to. Like if you were, previously working out for like 60 minutes plus, it might be like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You might have to break it up like in the morning, in the night, or just do a little bit less, but be efficient with the time that you have. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So that's like the main thing, is just to kind of shift your mindset. It doesn't need to be like a perfect workout in order to be effective. And because that's a lot of my thinking was like, if I don't have a whole hour to get this workout in, like I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait until
what's the point?
And that time might not ever come. So just kind of shifting your mindset and creating, like focusing on imperfect action, because that is going to like create more consistency. The more you just show up, even if it's just like 5 minutes of a workout or something, if that's all you have. But so that just like kind of being flexible with your mindset, and then also just try to plan as much as you can ahead of time, like when you're going to try to find like when you're going to work out, where you're going to work out, what exactly you're going to do. And that helps a ton. So you're not, because when you don't really know what you're going to do, for example, it's going to be harder to show up because you're going to be like,
absolutely.
I'll do that another time. And so it really, and now like with how my schedule looks with 4 boys, our youngest is sleeping through the night, so I wake up early. I try to wake up before they wake up, but I have such early risers. They all they
Yeah.
all creep into our workout room as I'm trying to finish. But so now I try to do it just before the day starts, and that just like helps to set a good tone for the day. And so it really is going to look different for everybody depending on what phase you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that with a lot of the moms that I work with, it's the struggle with the mental load and how to incorporate your workouts into that mental load. And I often find that the biggest struggle is that the workouts get pushed to the back burner because they're so busy doing the other things, or I need to like check things off my to-do list. And
Mhm.
I feel like out of everybody that I've seen, and myself included, that workout in the morning just makes such a huge difference for the rest of the day, knowing that it's done, but also just that shift in your mood, that like burst of energy right in the morning.
Mhm.
It just like I can't I can't like articulate to people enough how effective it is to do it first thing in the morning. And I know that it's not feasible for everybody, but
Mhm.
like I'm in that same season where it's like, okay, if I do it right in the morning, it's just better for everybody.
Yeah.
Because then,
And
yeah,
you never know what's going to come up throughout the day. Like if you're
exactly.
working out after
Yeah.
work or something, like something might come up and you might miss it. And anyways, yeah, so I agree. I love first thing. And something my husband, it's funny because I feel like sometimes people close to you, you'll like tell them things, but it doesn't resonate until maybe somebody else says it to them. Like
Hmm.
his friend,
Yep.
he was just like, so because he was struggling with being consistent, like with his workouts, and his friend was like, just go like on your way home from work, even if you're in jeans or like a dress shirt, just go to the gym, do a few sets and leave. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to like have the perfect outfit and like perfect circumstances. Just do something. So I loved that. I'm like, that's so true. Like just
Yeah.
do anything that can help you be consistent.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
like
build that momentum. Yeah.
Mhm. I was going to mention too, uh, I had this especially with my first baby, like feeling mom guilt for taking time away to go work out, especially if you are working full time. So you're like away all day, your baby's with like a babysitter, and then you come home and taking more time away can be really difficult.
Yeah.
But just like you mentioned, the importance of like doing something that might seem selfish, but it really is going to benefit you and your family so much, like
Hmm.
to keep yourself healthy. And a lot of the reasons I found for working out is like physical, but also for like my mental and emotional health. Like it
Yeah.
just makes such a huge difference. So
Yeah.
don't feel guilty for like taking that time away because it will benefit you and your family. You can show up better for them too. So
Absolutely. You're just so much more, it's so much easier to be present with your family when you have that, when you've created that space for yourself because of your workout. And there's that mental component, that psychological component that you get from exercise that's going to allow you to have that space regardless of what's going on. Like there's so much, I don't know. I think people overlook the amount of benefits of exercise because so many people just get into that mindset of like, well, I need to exercise to lose weight, but it's like there's all so many other benefits that you get from it that are going to happen immediately. And
mhm,
although fat loss is, a good health indicator for a lot of people, um, you're not going to see that right away after one workout. But
yeah.
there's these other aspects of exercise that after one workout, you get those immediate benefits. And part of that is going to really serve your family because you're just going to feel better for doing it. And we talk a lot about that at JL Fit Life is about like finding those multiple like deeper layers of why you're doing what you're doing and why it's going to help benefit you in your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like finding those deeper meanings and those deeper whys is just going to keep you showing up even more, especially when you continue to remember them and remind yourself of like, okay, like this is how I'm going to feel after I'm done my workout, regardless of how I feel now.
Yeah.
And it just helps with showing up for that piece too.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to ask you too, from like a nutrition standpoint, how do you manage four boys yourself? I know that you've been going through a cut as well. Is
Mhm.
it more like are you cooking separately? Are you modifying your meal but eating the same as everybody else? Like how do you, because I think that's a big question I often get is, oh, I can't cook all these different meals if I'm eating separately from my family. But I think it's all personal preference. But anyway, I just wanted to ask how you manage that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I get that too. Like, I don't want to make a separate meal for myself and everybody else eats differently. And I think that could be interesting for your children's perspective too, to see like, oh,
Mhm.
mom doesn't eat like what we're eating. Um, so you never know. I don't know. It's just like something to consider. Like, but so our kids are so picky. They're the pickiest
Mhm.
eaters. I feel like even when I'm not in a cut, like we're having to make like 3 different meals every night. And I mean, they're easy, like, but when we do like all have the same meal, like for example, a staple has been like a burrito bowl. And during this cut, instead of doing rice, I've been doing cauliflower rice,
Perfect. Yeah.
reduce calories. And so it's not like a huge, I mean, 5 minutes in the microwave to steam the cauliflower rice is not like a huge effort to make that change. When we make like spaghetti instead of noodles, I did spaghetti squash. And so there's like little changes here and there that I'm making to like our family dinner. But my husband's doing the mini cut with me as well. So that's been
Yeah.
helpful. So we're
Yeah.
making like whole food together. But yeah, so just trying really like the foods that I'm eating have pretty much stayed the same during my mini cut. It's just like the portion sizes are different. And I'm just being more aware of that. So I try not to have to make like a million different meals for everybody, but sometimes I do just because my kids are picky eaters.
Yeah. As long as you're eating something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we're lucky if they eat something. So, but yeah, that's basically how I've been doing it. Just focusing on like portion sizes, trying to eat the same or similar foods that I normally do. So I don't really have like diet foods, quote unquote, and then like
Yeah.
normal foods. So
Yeah.
that's really helpful too when I like end the mini cut to like continue on into maintenance.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just the easiest way to make it consistent and without like completely overhauling your diet, the diet, sorry, the foods that make up your diet so
Mhm.
that you are in a calorie deficit. And I think a lot of people end up kind of overcomplicating that.
Mhm.
Like they think they need to eat all of these special foods in order to lose fat and to eat less calories. And it's just not
Yeah.
that complicated.
Mhm.
Um, but to your point of what you said earlier too, like this is where that simplification can be as coaches to help people with nutrition because I feel like so many people overcomplicate it so much. And I
Mhm.
mean, rightfully so, because there's so much conflicting information out there too that makes you feel like you need to overhaul what you eat when you want to lose fat. But yeah, it's so much more straightforward than that, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. It's just not sustainable to have to like change your whole diet for a cut, and especially if it's like foods that you don't really enjoy. Like you're
Exactly. Yeah.
trying all these new recipes because they're like lower calorie, but you don't really enjoy them. Like it's just not going to work long term. It's not going to be
Yeah.
very enjoyable at all.
No, for sure. Um, I was doing some self-reflection lately, and I realized that as a coach, I feel like there's all the coaches that I know or have seen on social media, everybody has like a passion when it comes to what they really love about fitness and what they really um kind of bring to the table in terms of like how they market themselves or what they really focus on with their clients. Um, and I feel like a lot of that may or may not have to do with the things that we've overcome as individuals as well, and what fitness has helped us through. So for example, I've talked about struggling with self-esteem in my 20s, and how strength training really helped me to find that within myself, because it was something that I was kind of proving to myself that I could do, and it bled into other areas of my life. So a big part of what I really love is showing women that it's not just about fat loss, it's about building strength. And here's all the benefits of strength training, and why we can do it, and why it can make you feel like a badass, and all of these other kinds of things. So I was wondering if there was anything in your journey, whether that was like before you became a personal trainer, or during that time, or during motherhood, where something clicked for you there and fitness really helped you overcome something in your life.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think most recently that big shift has been due to having like babies, all these babies, and like trying to navigate my way back to being like fit again. And like I said, in the beginning, I am huge into endurance sports. I love marathons and triathlons, and like pushing myself in that area. And after I had my first baby, I was so messed up. I didn't do like any pelvic floor, deep core, anything during pregnancy. And that, I feel like, had a huge impact on my recovery. Like I remember it just took me a while to recover. Like walking was painful, standing was painful. And it was really frustrating, because I was like, you just hear people like when you're pregnant saying, "Oh, you're never going to be the same again. Like, enjoy your time now." Like,
Yeah.
I was never going to be able to run again or like be competitive. And I was just like, I'm going to show them, like, I am going to be running. I'm going to like be running before that 6-week checkup. Like, I'm going to, I don't know, in my head, like, that's what I was thinking. And then like reality hit. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so messed up. And so it took me a while to like be able to return to running. And what I wish I would have had a different perspective, because it was a lot of like, I just put so much pressure on myself to get back to my like previous phase of fitness, like before I got pregnant. And I wasn't until honestly like my third and fourth babies where I really like honed in like a really good perspective on postpartum fitness, and really just focused on getting strong. And because along with that, like I wanted to get back to running, and I also wanted to like lose weight and like fit into my clothes again. I remember trying on all my clothes to do like pictures with our new baby, and then like nothing fits. Like everything looks awful. Like my proportions are all different. And anyway, so there was a lot of pressure there as well. But yeah, changing that perspective of more of just like getting strong again, lifting weights to be able to like prepare my body to like run again. Cause that is like such a huge, it's like 2.5 times your body weight impact on your pelvic floor basically. And so trying to run like after having a baby can be very tricky. And so like, that was like a huge thing for me. It was just like focusing on getting strong, because that is something that is a little bit more measurable than weight loss. Weight loss takes time, especially if you're like breastfeeding. I found like it took me a lot longer to lose weight until I stopped breastfeeding. But so that's been a huge shift, and just focusing on strength training, simple workouts. It doesn't need to be a full hour to be effective. Like 30 minutes is great. And like I was huge into like circuit training before then with weights, and like just more everything was like endurance and cardio. And so it's been a huge change for me. Just like there's so much more you can do to like build muscle and like tone your body by lifting heavy weights and pushing yourself in the gym that way. Sorry, that was like a really roundabout long answer. But
gotcha.
But yeah, it's similar to you, just like working on your strength and like seeing how like strong you can get. That's a huge confidence boost, and it's not, it doesn't really matter like what you look like, but hey, like I just PR'd on my deadlift today, or with like running, I was able to like run a mile without stopping, and just like more performance based goals are really great rather than just like, how do I look? Like, I don't know. That's something with my fat loss clients, I try to help them to, if they have a weight loss goal, but also have a strength goal along with that, because that can make a huge difference in your mindset and your motivation as you keep going.
Oh yeah, of course. I love having clients to have a performance goal, even if they like don't know what they want. We'll just like think of something together. I'm like, okay, like what's your favorite exercise? If it's squat, okay, like let's try to get that up, or see how much we can lift in that and work towards that, things like that. But yeah, and like pregnancy is humbling.
Yeah.
Like I went through the same as you too. So when I had my first baby, um, it was just after like I had my first baby almost a year after I got married, and leading up to my wedding was like my prime like powerlifting career and all of those things. So, you think that as somebody who's like a high performing athlete, that you got pregnancy in the bag, like it's going to be fine. And yeah, that just wasn't the case for me either. Like I struggled so much with my body image after pregnancy, and it took a while to yeah, like it was just humbling, and figuring out what works for your body after postpartum, and um going through those changes was, yeah, it was a good reminder of like in terms of what your body needs when it needs adequate amounts of recovery. Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought here. But yeah, like pregnancy and having the respect for your body, and in terms of the amount of recovery that it needs, but also balancing it with the goals that you have after pregnancy, and having all of these other considerations, it just makes it so much more complex than what we may or may not have been led to believe when we got pregnant. And I feel like the postpartum piece is also so new in terms of people learning about pelvic floor and learning about the role of that, and where strength training can kind of come in, and how we can properly incorporate exercise into a regimen after pregnancy and after you've had a baby. I just feel like a lot of people just don't know. And the information that is out there is still so new, that it's not as talked about as it probably should be. Although I do feel like in the last 5 years, it has really come out a lot more. And maybe it's just because I'm in the space now, but when I had a baby, I had no idea. I knew you needed to work on some stuff, but I didn't know the extent of it, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like the same one. So I had my first in 2016, and I feel like there really wasn't much out there. And so I ran a ton during my pregnancies, and like I was honestly like kind of scared to do too much. Like I was nervous about lifting too heavy or like doing anything too intense. And I knew I'm like, I should probably do something for my core, but I don't know what. Like
yeah, exactly. You're almost made to feel like because there's a baby there, you can't do anything. That's how I felt anyways. Like no crunches, but like crunches is obviously an exception, but like even like planks and stuff like that, I wasn't really doing. But then again, it also depends on your pregnancy too, because with my second pregnancy, I was getting so much round ligament pain and things like that, that it was difficult to do a lot of the exercises that I wanted to do, even though I could have performed them in my first pregnancy. And then it just adds another layer of complication when you're trying to like navigate the kind of pregnancy that you're having with exercise, and what you now like. Even with my second pregnancy, I knew more about what I needed to do, but it was difficult to even follow through with that because my pregnancy was difficult. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, humbling experience for
Yeah.
sure. But here we are.
Yeah. And I just see so, so much like I just see so many like postpartum women just like turning to the wrong things, like to like lose weight as quickly as possible. Like, they're
Yes.
like, should I cut out carbs? Like, I'm not eating sugar. I'm like running 6 days a week. And I'm like, no,
Yes.
you don't, like, you're already so sleep deprived and tired. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to do that. So just like changing the way you exercise, and not exercising to just burn calories, but exercising to like get stronger and like build
Yes.
muscle. And that is what is going to like give you that toned and defined look that you want. It's not doing hours of
Yes.
cardio or like cutting out sugar and carbs. Like, uh,
Yeah.
so it's hard to see, but it keeps me motivated to want to keep like posting
Yeah.
content and like helping, helping as
Yes,
I can. But
for sure. And I think people don't realize too, like the more that you do is not always the best thing to do. I get that a lot too, is people aren't seeing the progress that they want to see, that so they feel like I need to do more, I need to cut more calories, I need to do more exercise, and I'm like, that's not always the case.
mhm,
Um, and exactly as you said, with strength training, at least you're not burning yourself to the ground, but you're still going to see steady progress towards the goals that you want to see. Um, and I think it's just funny how I feel like I get through to so many people on this, and then there's like a new group of people who come in that you almost have to re-educate, and
mhm,
it's just a constant one of those things that just seems to be a constant thing that we're having to educate people on, because there's just so much out there that's saying otherwise. So it's an interesting field to be in when there's all these trends and there's
mhm,
all of these like different diets and things that are being sold to you and marketed in ways that are so appealing, and
mhm.
yet you have to like really dive into the research or your own critical thinking in terms of like what you know, so that you can break this down for people and tell and let them know, and give them the nuance behind it so that they can make a better informed decision for themselves. So
Yeah,
it's
for
a
the crazy world out there on social media. Like,
yeah, oh my gosh.
like if you have any of these problems, there's like a huge list of like problems or issues that most people deal with. Like, this product is going to like solve all of those issues. Like, and
Yes.
it's like some product they're selling, and it's just like, man, it's just, um, and a lot of those posts get a lot of attention and views and engagement, but it's really just like the boring simple things that work, but doesn't necessarily get a ton of attention because they're not like
Exactly.
flashy, and um, they're just not as interesting, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah. The shiny new syndrome kind of thing. I think that's
mhm.
what it's called. Shiny syndrome.
Yeah,
There's
something
something, you know
like
what I mean? Like new and shiny. And that's
that.
what I
Mhm.
find a lot of people are always looking for, is the next thing that
Mhm.
seems to be, yeah, the most interesting thing that they can do. And yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. And more people need to know that it's like it's not about what is the most interesting, it's about what you can be the most consistent with, and that's oftentimes going to be the boring thing. And
Mhm.
that's the biggest downfall for all of that too.
Yeah.
How that being said though, when you get into a routine or you are finding that you're like quote unquote bored with what you're doing, what kind of things do you do to make things more exciting for yourself? Because there are ways to make it more exciting, even though it's still the same things day in and day out.
Yes, that's a great question. So that's actually like why part of the reason why I did my mini cut, was because I'd been in maintenance or probably like a slight surplus for the past like
Mhm.
um, year or so. And I was just like, I kind of wanted to just like dial in my nutrition, tighten up a little bit. And I was kind of feeling bored with what I was doing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I wanted like a little challenge um, to do that. And so that helped. And then with like fitness, I like setting different goals. Like, um, I haven't been able to do like pull-ups yet since having my last baby. And that's like something I'm working on right now, is to be
Yeah.
able to do like 10 pull-ups by the end of the year.
Ooh.
Unassisted. Yeah. So we'll see. And so
Yeah.
I've started with chin-ups, and I'm able to do 6 so far,
That's
which is
awesome.
huge for me because I was like struggling with one pull-up or one.
Yeah.
So having like different strength goals really helps me with that. And like since I love endurance sports as well, I'm like considering getting back more into like training for a half marathon or something,
Yeah.
just to mix things up, because I miss it too. I miss running long distance and everything. But yeah, I think having like different strength goals can help spice things up. Doing a mini cut,
Yeah.
you have fat to lose, different things like that can really help.
Absolutely. I was going to say too, like now that your kids are a little bit older,
Mm-hmm.
like your youngest is 1.5, you said? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like because marathon training is such a time commitment in terms of like, how long your runs are going to be and things like that, you might not have been in a space to do that when you had like a small or like a child under a year, you know what I mean? On top of your own recovery.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that people need to consider too, is like just because you can't do it now doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do it in the future.
For sure.
um which is kind of, so it's cool to see you like come back to the endurance sports that you enjoyed so much before you became a mom, and all of those things that you're really passionate about. And just knowing that there are seasons of life, and even if we are in a challenging season where we can't show up in the way that we want to, it's not going to last forever. So we just got to make do with what we can in that season until the next season comes, and then we can pivot and kind of reassess and see what we can do next to kind of push ourselves. And I think that in itself can make it more exciting too, is that even though if you're in a phase where it's boring and it's mundane, but it's working, then that it's a good reminder that that season might not last until you need to make another pivot again. And then things are going to get interesting as you like adapt to that new pivot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like my favorite way of making things more interesting for myself too is still with the performance stuff. Um, and just like playing around with different aspects of fitness that I might not always think to incorporate into my training. Um, things like lately I've been putting in more plyometrics than I used to.
Yeah.
So just like playing with stuff like that, I think is a lot of fun. Um, but I was getting to a point.
Mm-hmm.
um, because most people come to us for fat loss goals, and I think it's really important to recognize that like what's going to happen when you hit those fat loss goals, like
Yeah.
you need to be able to sustain it somehow. So that means that whatever you're implementing to obtain that goal, you're going to have to continue to maintain, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to continue to implement into your day-to-day life. So you're not going to want to always be in a calorie deficit. You're not going to always want to be doing the same kind of workouts and things like that you might have been doing in that fat loss phase. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want to maintain that level of physique and fitness that you achieved, these things need to keep going. These things need to continue to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like they're going to become redundant. So knowing how to make it exciting, I think, is a really good way to help people stay the course and stay consistent, and to keep health or to keep fitness and nutrition aspects into their life, so they don't just kind of stop doing it,
Yeah.
which is also something I see a lot of people do. It's they hit a goal, and then it's like, okay, I'm done, and then they it kind of like just falls to the wayside for them.
Yeah. And I love that, like going back to what you said earlier, just like going back to your why, like, why are you doing this? And that could be a huge motivator um, after you've accomplished your goal, like to like continue on, like don't lose sight of
Hmm.
like, why you did all this in the first
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
yeah, because you're not doing it, even though the not superficial, that's not the word I'm looking for, but like yeah, the kind of superficial goal for a lot of people is the fat loss, but I think there's always a deeper meaning
Mhm.
aside from, even when that's like what people are zeroed in on, there's always a deeper level to that why. Like, why do you want to lose fat? It's not just to look good. You want to feel good. You want confidence. You want these other things that you're attaching to fat loss. And we need to uncover those so that we can make sure that those goals are still being met. And I
Mhm.
think that on the other side of that, sometimes people lose the fat or they hit a goal weight and they still didn't meet a lot of those other goals that they have associated with fat loss. So
Mhm.
that's why they continue to try to lose more fat when they hit a certain weight and they still don't feel confident.
Yeah.
But I think that's also why mindset is so important, because we have to recognize when fat loss is not going to actually achieve the goals that you're looking for. So if you're looking for self-confidence and you're hitting a goal weight and you're still not confident, maybe it's not fat loss that you're actually looking for. Maybe there's a lot more inner work that needs to be done. Maybe we need to do some body recomposition to get a certain physique that is going to make you feel confident. Or maybe it's going back to strength training and like realizing that there are things that we can do within our training that is going to give us the confidence boost that we need in other aspects of our life.
Yeah, I love that. And I like, as cheesy as it sounds, like finding joy in the journey rather
Yeah.
than just focusing on the destination. Like, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
my clients who are most successful are the ones who aren't just like hyper focused on where they want to be and like frustrated every day that they're not there yet, but the clients who like really take the time to like change habits and like fall in love with strength training and like
Yes.
enjoy the process. And I can't remember what like feel good hormone, if it's dopamine or whatever, but there's been
Yeah.
studies that show like you actually get more dopamine or serotonin. I can't remember which one. More,
I know it's like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. I get them
yeah,
all mixed up too. I
you
don't.
get more of
Yeah.
those like feel good hormones like
Yeah.
during the process than you do when you like achieve the goal.
Yeah.
So it's like when you think of it that way, just like really take the time to enjoy the process to get there, like build the habits that are going to sustain your fat loss or sustain your strength goals like for the rest of your life.
Yes. Yeah. And reap the benefits from it too. I mean, we talk a lot about removing the timeline, like
Mhm.
why, like, although to a certain degree, fat loss can be a really great goal, we also can't really control how fast that progress is going to come. So to your point, we might as well just enjoy what we're doing and try to make it as sustainable as possible so that you can actually achieve that goal from a sustainable perspective, regardless of how long it takes. And then
Mhm.
that way you at least have some sort of indication of how you're going to be able to maintain that goal too, without having to restart all over again if you gain all that weight back or if you regress in some way. So yeah, there's just like so much to be said about sustainability over, trying to get progress as fast as possible. But
Mhm.
um just the way that I feel like society and like that hustle culture is, everybody wants everything like right now.
Yeah.
So it's so hard for a lot of people to have that like delayed gratification of
Mhm.
achieving a goal without like a time frame on it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like something I've learned just from doing this mini cut, I feel it's interesting, like the times where I felt like it was the hardest, I'm like wanting to quit. I'm just like, do I really want to keep doing this? Are those like the hardest times happen like right before a breakthrough or,
Yes.
a
Yeah.
drop in scale weight? It's like, oh my gosh, like that is so interesting how it really does feel the hardest, like right before something great is going to happen. And so
Yeah.
for other
Yeah.
people just like quit and give up um, when they feel like it's just too hard, but just to like push through um, long enough to see the results is key.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's such a good like analogy, not just for fat loss, but for like anything in life. Like when it feels the hardest and it feels the stickiest, that probably means that you are on the verge of achieving something that you've set out for, like um yeah, like I think that's a really good analogy for anything that can come can be challenging in life, whether
Mhm.
it's learning something new or trying to lose fat or whatever goal anyone
Building a
has.
business, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah. And then it just kind of ties in with that like mental resilience of things too. And I feel like that's another thing that can be overlooked is like it's not just about building your body, but that mental resiliency is going to bleed into other pieces of your life as well. And the more resilient you are with that, the more confidence you build, and it's just like a nice
Mhm.
little like cycle of benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the quote. I don't know if you ever listened to Alex Hermosi and Layla Hermosi. They
Okay.
married. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday and she was just talking about how confidence is built, and it's confidence is built by like keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Like if you say,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna, I'm gonna work out in the morning, and you do it, like you get a little bit more confidence. But if you don't do it, that kind of digs at digs at your
Yeah.
confidence. Um,
Yeah.
you like commit to doing a cut or something and you like keep with it, that's going to like build your confidence. Like, hey,
Hmm.
I can do hard things. I can do this. And so I think that's really cool too, to think about, just like
Yeah.
you want to build your confidence, like just,
Absolutely.
it doesn't have to be huge. It's actually shouldn't be like huge things that you need to do. Like try to find like little things that you can do to build your confidence each day.
Hmm.
Like a 5-minute walk or something, like just little things
Yeah.
you can accomplish to help build your confidence and then build from there.
Yes. Little like maintainable pieces of your day that you're trying to change that are also going to help you change your behavior and align better with the goals that you have and the values that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And um but yeah, keeping those promises to yourself, I feel like um it's so easy to not do things because especially when they make you uncomfortable, but if you overcome that and push through that discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
then as you said, it's just you're just proving to yourself that you can do that. And if I can do this, okay, well then what's next? Like what else can I do? And what else can I do? And keep going like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to see. And I really enjoy that part of coaching too, is like we know the answers. We know not all the answers, but we know these things about human behavior, but when you see it in clients and then you see the benefits that they get from it,
Mm-hmm.
it's so rewarding when they finally come back to you and they're like, I did it. Like it worked, or like I showed up for myself. And every time that they do that, it's just another little win and it all just adds up. um
Yeah.
and eventually they get to their goal, or they meet other things that they never thought they could do, which I think is like the coolest thing
Yeah.
about this job for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Like even I had a client who was struggling with like emotional eating at night. Um, After the kids were bed, like she just wanted to eat everything in the pantry, like sweet and salty,
Mhm.
and like go watch TV. And when she was finally able to just be like, okay, like, do I want to do this? And she was able to just kind of be like, no, like one day I'm not gonna, you know, choose like all the sweet and salty foods. I'm gonna like make a different choice. And the boost that she got from that, like after, was huge, and it like propelled her to like continue making different choices and like kind of break out of that
Yeah.
habit. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really cool, like what
It's yeah.
little decisions each day can do to your mentality and confidence.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's some of the hardest things that you can do. It's the psychological part is um it impacts everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people really underestimate how much your thought process not only influences your choices, but the stories that you tell yourself, and that we can literally rewire those things,
Yeah.
because people think that they feel something or they believe something or that they want something, that it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
But when we realize that it's not, and you can actually question your own thoughts and your own thought patterns and your beliefs, and you start to rewire those, like
Mm-hmm.
that's some of the most powerful stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like I don't know, it almost seems like, okay, that's like very outlandish. I don't know, like
Mm,
woo stuff, like changing, doing
yeah.
thoughts affirmations, but there's like actual scientific data,
Yeah.
like proving that these things
Yeah.
are true. Like, so yeah,
Yep.
you can change so much just by changing your thoughts.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think, who was it? Somebody, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name now. But she's known, she has this like mindset course that's based on science and stuff, that
Mhm.
I took. And I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now. Um,
Mel
but
Robbins,
there was,
I don't know,
pardon?
Mel Robbins or some, I don't know.
No, oh, Casey something. Anyways, she has a mindset course for coaches, which is really, really cool, and I would highly recommend it. But she like includes the science in it, but there was actual science about the neural pathways of your brain and
Mhm.
how it's basically like your brain is a muscle, right?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things that are in your brain that just like a muscle in your body, you can retrain.
Yeah.
And it's just very fascinating, and the brain too is something that we don't know a whole lot about, but a lot of information in science is coming out about it, and it's really interesting to learn about. But
Yeah.
yeah, and again, like something that people just underestimate and they don't pay attention to so much, but when you bring awareness to like the things that you think,
Mhm.
it it changes so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Like if you're like people who, I don't know, I think we all have people in our lives who are like super negative and like
Yes.
always,
Yeah.
they just always see the negative in every situation. And then
Yeah.
there's like people who are more positive, they see the positive in every situation. And it's so true. Like you get what you look for. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
like tell yourself like, I'm never able, like I never do the things I say I'm going to say, or I never do the things I say I'm going to do. Like it's
Yeah.
not going to work. But if you just change that mindset and say like, no, I do what I say I'm going to do. Like it
Yeah.
can make a huge difference
Oh
in what
yeah.
happens.
Or even if you're questioning that too, because so many people will say that about themselves, and then it's like, oh well, that's just who I am. But
Mhm.
you're allowed to reflect on that and say to yourself, like, why do I think that about myself? Like, why don't I ever follow through on what I'm going to say? Like, what's happening there, you know? I had a client the other day, and it'll sound like such a small thing, but I really feel like it's something that propels people forward because it's that first step. She came to, or yeah, so she said that she missed she had a Monday that started out really crappy, and she came into our like group chat, and she was like, um, yesterday on a Monday, it didn't start the way I wanted it to. And usually I would say that the rest of the week is a write off because it didn't start the way that I wanted it. But I came home and I did my workout anyways. And now I feel good about it. And just the fact that the fact that you came home and showed yourself that you did it anyways, and that the rest of the week is not a write-off just because Monday didn't start the way that you wanted it to. It's
Mhm.
just breaking yourself out of that cycle of that like all or nothing thinking.
Mhm.
And now you know that just because one day didn't go the way that you wanted it to doesn't mean you need to write off the next 6 days and start again the next week. You can still show up. Like there's still something that you can do. There's still something you can be consistent with. There's still something you can implement that's going to make you feel better about the rest of the week.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. I feel like the all or nothing mindset is what so many people deal with. And like
Yeah.
my husband, he works in finance and like retirement planning. And there are a lot of people who are like, well, I'm not making that much money now. Like I can't save as much as I'd like to. So they don't save at all. But it's like,
Right.
what if you just saved like $10 a month? Like that's going to
Yeah.
pound over time and make a big deal rather than if you just wait like 10 years until you're making more money and then start saving. Um, when you can see the difference, it's huge.
Hmm.
So like, yeah, just doing what you can now, even if it's little, and not like feeling like you have to jump all in to fitness, is
Yes.
a huge mindset shift.
Absolutely. Um, I think another I know we'll probably have to wrap up shortly. I was just going to add that like there's that another analogy or metaphor with the bowl of rice and then the empty bowl and how it can represent consistency. So if you have that bowl of rice and you take, 7 days and each grain of rice represents a day, and you put 7 grains of rice into the empty bowl, it doesn't look like there's a huge change in the bowl of rice. It doesn't really look like anything came out of that. But over time, as you continue to put 1 day in at a time or 1 grain of rice in at a time to the other bowl, eventually you're going to see like a divot in the bowl of rice, and like you're going to see the changes that are happening. And I think that's such a great analogy for health and fitness and seeing the changes over time and giving yourself that that consistency and removing the timeline kind of thing that we've talked about, because as long as you can continue to show up in some way, you're going to start seeing the benefits of what you're doing and the changes that you're implementing.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good visual to see that. And it can be hard, like those initial days. Like I felt that the first week of my mini cut was the hardest.
Yeah.
Is this worth it? Like, you're obviously not seeing changes. Like how you're eating on week 1 isn't going to reflect, for a few weeks or so. And anyway, so it can be the hardest initially, but that's why it's so important to like kind of identify little wins along the way to like keep you motivated to keep going, to be consistent.
Yeah. And just to wrap up with that too, like coaches need to go through these things too, to remind ourselves what our clients are going through. And I think that's also like another for us, like doing cuts or doing maintenance or doing other performance goals and stuff like that, it puts us in that headspace again where we were like, oh man, like this is challenging, but here's what we can do to help with this. And but yeah, like we're reminded of the challenges, and just because we're coaches doesn't mean it's any less challenging for us than it is for the average person too. But those phases are good reminders to put yourself in that headspace.
That's so true. Yeah.
All right, Christy. I guess we've been going for about an hour. So I think we can probably wrap this up here. Is there anything else that you want to bring up before we head out?
Man, I feel like we could just keep talking for hours if we.
We're definitely aligned on the same things for sure.
Yeah, this has been really great. Yeah, I think like we covered a lot of good stuff, and I think just like kind of what we just talked about, trying to remove the all or nothing mindset, and if you're a beginner just getting into fitness, like you don't have to necessarily jump all in, like going to the gym 7 days a week, doing a mini cut, tracking up your calories. Like you can start small, and that's okay. Like, because like you said, with the grains of rice, like if you just do a little bit each day to make improvement, it's going to compound over time and turn into something big. And so you can start small, and that's great. You're going to make progress as long as you just start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lots of really good takeaway messages there for anybody who is listening, and especially if you are not sure where to start. Start small. Start with where you're at, and don't like expect that you need to completely overhaul your life in order to like make progress and move the needle forward into whatever kind of lifestyle you're looking for, and however you need to align yourself with the goals that you have. Awesome. That was a really good conversation.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay, Christy, I'm just going to stop recording in a second, and then we can chat offline if we want to. Okay, so this is it for this week. I will see everybody next time in 2 weeks for the JL FitLife podcast. But yeah, I'll see everybody then.